strong.
Hello budding medicos, hope you all are doing well. If you are new to this channel, I am Shankopal, a student of Bakura Sammiloni Medical College, and as the title shows, this is the video of anatomy book review. As a first year medico, you spend most of your time studying anatomy. Needless to say, the subject covers a huge part of your first year syllabus, and students often tend to neglect the other two subjects while dedicating most of their time to anatomy, although it should not be the case. Students, after entering medical college for the very first time, get really confused about which books they should study. We are overwhelmed with the plethora of new informations. At the beginning of the course, everyone is so enthusiastic, everyone wants to study from the standard textbook. But don't get me wrong, as the exam approaches nearby, most of them grab a selective anatomy book, what we call chotha or gutka books, and pray to God, Bhagwan, is saal pass kara do. To make sure it doesn't happen with you too, you have to select your books wisely. Today there are a lot of options available, which are enough to confuse you. Therefore, as a senior, I shall give you my personal opinion besides showing you all the available options. Anatomy itself is divided into many subsubjects. There are gross anatomy, general anatomy, neuroanatomy, histology, embryology. Besides, you have to study atlas, the clinical anatomy, and the dissection manual, which no one actually reads, and also there are books for just passing anatomy. I shall tell you which books I read along with the available books. But you have to pick one combination that suits you the best. As I have also mentioned in the earlier videos, it is not that which books I have read you have to read the same. Pick that combination which makes you most comfortable. Now let's jump into the books. In this video, we are going to cover the gross anatomy, general anatomy, and the clinical anatomy part. Rest of the books will be covered in our subsequent video. For general anatomy, among many books, I have listed two which I felt the best. First of all is the book by A.K. Datta. This is a very good book, but information is given in detailed manner. Reading this book can be frustrating at some times. Still, I used this one. Next in the list is the General Anatomy by Bishram Singh. This is also a very good book and a proper alternative of the book by A.K. Datta. Informations are provided in point-wise manner. Now come to the gross anatomy. First of all, the gold standard book for gross anatomy is the Gray's Anatomy, the anatomical basis of clinical practice. This is one of the three most popular books of your whole medical career, if not the most. It's the Bible of anatomy, but it is not at all recommended to study this book at this level. Next, we have the Gray's Anatomy for students. It contains awesome images which will give you interest, and it is not filled with unnecessary information. You can study this book. Next we have the Human Anatomy by B.D. Chaurasia. It is also called the Red Bible, an old book still rocking the market. This is the most famous book for gross anatomy among the Indian students. No doubt, it is an awesome book framed according to Indian education system. Meanwhile, if you are enjoying this video, please hit the like button. It will encourage us to upload the part 2 of this video too. Next, we have the Textbook of Anatomy by Bishram Singh. This is a relatively new book, but it really attracted the students. It is written in a point-wise manner and diagrams are easy to replicate in exams. Next we have the book by A.K. Datta, another great book but very much detailed. PG students often read this book. Many colleges under WBUHS prefer this book as their standard textbook. Now come to the clinical anatomy. We have the Clinical Anatomy by Regions by Richard S. Snell. This is an awesome book, but if you only get time to read this. You can keep the PDF of this book or borrow it from library and refer it from time to time. Next we have The Clinically Oriented Anatomy by Murray. It is also a similar book like that of the snail. If you are interested in in-depth knowledge, then you can choose any of them. Now, one of my most favorite books of first year, The Clinical and Surgical Anatomy by Bistrom Singh. You will get all the necessary clinical questions in this book. So this is all for the part 1 of this video. If you like this video, please share it among your friends and subscribe to the channel. Part 2 is coming soon.